Thank you very, very much. I'm excited to see everyone here, and thank you for having me. Thank you for introducing me, Jody. This is something that I love to do. I love to speak, and I love to spread the word about the things that we can do to be healthier in our lives. So I actually want to get started tonight by practicing a little bit of what we're going to be talking about over the next 30 minutes. So I would like to invite you to stand up. Thank you. Make sure you have a little space around you. You're not going to knock into anyone. You can spread out if you need to. And we're just going to start by stretching the face. So big and then small. If anyone's been in choir, we do this all the time. And small. Good, we're getting those face muscles warmed up. Okay, now moving on to the neck. One direction. Hold it there. And other direction. Get those guys stretched up, loosened out. And now let's look down. Perfect. Okay. Now I want everyone to grab your arms and reach up overhead. If you have any shoulder issues, just go as far as you can. You don't need to push yourself. And let's reach a little bit to the side. Feel the nice stretch through your body. And a little bit to the other side. Good. Take some nice deep breaths while you're here. And forward, stretching out that back. Good. Place your hands behind your head and stretch those elbows back. Feel that nice stretch across your chest. Good. And grab your hands behind your back and stretch. Try to lift those hands up. If they don't go up, that's okay. Practice pulling those shoulder blades back. Good. Let go with your arms, shake them out. Great, now we're gonna move on to the legs. I know it's hard to see because there's the platform here. You're gonna put one foot out in front of the other, and you're gonna bend at your hips, not through your back. You're gonna bend at your hips. Should feel a stretch in the front, in the back of the front leg. Good. And come back up, and we'll switch sides. Other leg out in front. You're gonna bend right at those hips. Bend forward, feel that nice stretch in the back of the front leg. Hold it here, take a couple of nice deep breaths. Perfect. Step your feet apart, and you're gonna move your hips one direction and feel the stretch on the other leg. And you're gonna move your hips the other direction and feel the stretch in the opposite leg. Good. If you don't quite feel the stretch, then try this again afterwards with your feet further apart. Okay. Come back up. We just have 2 more sets of muscles. So hold on to the back of a chair or something that's not going to move. Okay. And if you can, you're going to grab your foot behind you. Good. If you can't, then place your foot on the seat of the chair. And that will give you that nice stretch in your front of your leg. Good. There you go. And down, and let's do the other side. So you'll grab your foot. If you can't quite reach your foot, you can put the foot on the chair and practice moving your knee back. The further back you move your knee, the more of a pull you'll feel in your leg. Good. And the last one, put one foot behind you and push that heel down to the ground. Good. And other side. Push that heel down to the ground. All right. You can have a seat now that you're woken up and have a little bit of blood flowing. So tonight we're going to talk about stretching your minutes, about taking care of your body with literal stretching like we just did, so that you can get the most out of your time throughout the day, figuratively stretching what you fit into your minutes. There we go. Oh, should have done this first. We will be doing some moving this evening. If you have any pain or issues, I recommend that you consult your physician. Also remember that this is not medical information, and so if you do have any questions or personal concerns, I recommend, again, consulting your physician. Okay. What? there we go. So time is a limited resource. There has been a great deal of discussion in the leadership world to this effect. We only get so many minutes in a day. At work, we have many responsibilities. Projects to be completed, meetings to attend, emails to respond to. We might even have other people whom we are responsible for managing. Patients, employees, even children if you work in a school or a daycare center. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, Americans work an average of 1,789 hours per year, or about 34 and a half hours per week. But there just doesn't seem to be enough time to get everything done. And when we get home, there's more to do. Dinner, childcare, pet care, cleaning, and at some point, we want to spend time with our friends and family, right? And spend some time for ourselves. With all of these pressures and time commitments, it's hard to find a balance in our lives. It's hard to find that time to care for ourselves and expand our perspectives, to learn, to grow, to experience new things. How can we meet our responsibilities and still do these things? How can we make the most of the time we have? Well, we do that by stretching our minutes. What we do during the day can either work for us or work against us. And I'm going to show you tonight a few easy things you can do in just a few minutes to improve your health by improving the flexibility of your body, your mind, and your emotions. This is how to make your time work for you. So when we're talking about flexibility, it's important to talk about stress. So what is stress? The pressures that we experience at work and home are stress. According to the American Institute of Stress, stress was coined in 1936 by Hans Selye. Not quite sure I said his name right, but he described it as the non-specific response of the body to any demand or change. Since that time, research has looked a little more deeply at the phenomenon that we call stress. Psychologists differentiate eustress, or the stress that accompanies positive life events, from distress, or the stress caused by negative life events. And more recently, researchers have looked at the effects of stress on the body, mind, and emotions. Okay? So when we experience stress, what happens? In the body, when we experience stress, we turn on the sympathetic nervous system. This system is under the automatic control of the body and the brain, and it's designed to respond to short-term threats. For example, car accidents, fights, or in the case of our ancestors, animal attacks. In some, it's more likely to be a fight or flight response, okay, where you either attack the source of threat or escape from it. Many have heard that expression. But in others, they'll experience more of a tend and befriend response, where a person will seek support or comfort from a friend or colleague. Okay? When a person experiences that stress, the body will begin producing adrenaline and cortisol, which are stress hormones. The heart and the breath speed up. You might begin sweating, and the muscles will start to tense. Sometimes you'll even have changes in how and what you hear. Think of a time when this happened to you. Okay? It might be when you played football or when you watched a football game. Maybe it was the last time you had a deadline at work, or when you got into an argument with your spouse. Take a second and really feel, what did your body feel like at that time? What was going through your brain? How did your muscles feel? In the short term, stress is helpful. It lets us respond to a situation at hand, and in the case of our ancestors, stay alive. So you can see the stress curve. There's actually good performance improvements at the beginning. We have a little bit of stress that actually makes us better at what we need to be doing. But when that stress lasts, or when that stress gets too much, that's actually when those negative effects occur. if stress occurs repeatedly or lasts for a long time, the body will actually change in order to protect itself. These changes include that continued muscle tension. Maybe people feel like they have rocks in their shoulder muscles. Poor sleep, increased pain sensitization, sex hormone imbalance, high blood pressure, chronic inflammation, lowered immunity, so you might get sick more often, cardiovascular disease, and even obesity. Okay? We actually see a similar pattern in the mind when we experience stress. A little stress can cause us to focus, to think more quickly, and to be more productive. But with too much stress, our brain function declines. We lose the ability to focus on the thing that we need to be focused on because we're distracted by all of the other things we have to do. We lose the ability to be productive, to actually accomplish the goals that we set for ourselves. And we lose the ability to think creatively. And that creativity is really what gives us value to what we do. Stress does improve our ability to remember emotional information, but it actually diminishes our ability to recall neutral information. So those statistics that we need to remember in order to create a graph. Okay? Emotionally, stress makes us less steady. We lose the ability to look at situations broadly and reflectively. We may not respond to a question from a colleague or spouse in an appropriate manner. We may even feel more threatened by a change or a new idea than we would usually, and we may miss those opportunities that are available to us. So why are we talking about stress? Because in America, we live in a constant state of stress every day, and because stress can limit the amount of value we get out of the minutes we have. So what can we do about it? Oh, sorry, this slide actually indicates in the different areas of the body some of those changes that occur with chronic stress. So you can see fatigue, skin texture, arteries change, immunity, muscle protein breakdown. It's actually a pretty serious condition that many Americans are living with. Now, what can we do about it? I just spent the last 5 minutes telling you about how bad it is, so now hopefully I can give you a little bit of hope. Let's talk about a new way to think about health. Okay? When we say health, what we really mean is wellness. Not just the absence of disease, but really thriving, right? Rock star at work, dependable friend, active community member. Like if there was an Academy Award for being an all-around awesome person, that's who we'd want to be. When we consider wellness from a holistic perspective, we actually consider 6 dimensions of wellness: physical, social, intellectual, spiritual, emotional, and occupational wellness. Each dimension impacts the others, so really, you can break the cycle by starting in any of those spheres. In America, we're very focused on the physical dimension, and I'm a physical therapist, so that's generally where I tend to start. Okay. Let's discuss a little bit of what stretching can do to reduce that stress, to improve our health, and really get the most out of our minutes. So why stretching? Well, first, it's easy and relatively safe to do. Almost anyone can do it, almost anywhere at all. At your desk, standing around, sitting at a stoplight, or even sitting in your chairs right now. Some of those arm stretches we did can do just sitting right there. Exactly, just like that. Once you know what muscles you want to stretch, there are many possibilities for how you can move to stretch those muscles. And as long as you stretch in a controlled manner and at a moderate intensity, the likelihood of injury is very low. So what that means is you feel a stretch, but it's not unbearable. It's not painful. And you hold it for 15 to 30 seconds. Okay? Second, stretching feels good. Who out there has ever gone for a walk or a run, played a sport, or took 5 minutes to stretch and thought, gee, I wish I hadn't done that. I really hate feeling this good. Now, that's assuming there's no injuries in that sporting event that you played in. Okay? And third, it's very effective. Here's the science behind what happens when you stretch and move. Physically, the muscles relax. Sustained stretching for over 30 seconds actually turns off the muscle fibers, so they can't tighten up as easily. Blood flow improves to the tight muscles when they are moved and used. So not only are you relaxing the muscles, you're also delivering healing nutrients to the area. I recommend counting how long you're holding your stretches by taking some deep, slow breaths. We kind of talked about that when we were stretching at the beginning. This has the added benefit of bringing more oxygen into your body and brain, so you can think better too. Deep breathing while you stretch has the added effect of actually turning off that sympathetic nervous system that we talked about. We turn off that fight and flight response, and it turns on the parasympathetic nervous system. And this system is responsible for rest and digest. It's responsible for healing, calming, and actually processing the nutrients that we eat. Pardon me. It actually changes the hormones in our body to those that will instead help the body take in nutrients, burn fat, and heal. Movement is also associated with improved sleep, improved digestion, and improved immunity. Mentally, in addition to improving the flow of oxygen to your brain, taking a break can actually improve your focus. A study was published in 2011 that demonstrated that participants who had a few brief interruptions during a 1-hour visual vigilance test performed better than participants who had no distractions during that 1-hour-long test. So doing something unrelated to your work task can actually improve your performance. It can also improve your creativity by taking you out of that stressed out, focused position. Doing something unrelated to your work takes you away from that problem. So clear your mind, and you can come back to it from a new perspective. Okay? Often, looking at it differently can help you see those solutions you may not have seen before. Emotionally, stretching can improve your perception of stress and can help you manage it better. It can also improve your perception of anxiety and depression. One study demonstrated that just 7 minutes and 30 seconds of yoga, which is a type of exercise that involves stretching and breathing as some key components, improved patients' clinically diagnosed anxiety levels. So that's a picture of the Warrior II position, which is a very common position seen in yoga. So just think about how much you can accomplish once you get your body, mind, and emotions in a healthier place. So how do I do it? Now we're getting to the good stuff. It's not hard, you all just did it earlier, but we're going to talk about what it is that you just did. So here is a picture of the body. I recommend stretching the 10 major muscles or muscle groups of the body. We kind of went through those earlier. The face, the neck, the shoulders, the chest, the lats, or the back, the abs, and the intercostals are the muscles between the ribs, the hamstrings in the back of your leg, the quadriceps in the front of your leg, the hip adductors, and the calves. And we're going to go through each of these muscle groups, and if you'd like, you can practice your stretches again. Okay, so the face. This one you can do sitting down. So a nice big expression, you really get the muscles of that jaw stretched out. And then small, really tighten them up. Good, and big and small. Good. I actually do this periodically throughout the day. Sometimes I have to clarify that I'm not yawning, but it really loosens up my jaw. Okay? The neck. So you can see my little circles are circling the muscles. So that one, we go to the side. Feel the stretch all along those muscles on the side of your neck. Take a few nice deep breaths. And other side. Good, feel that side. And then we want to get the muscles on the back of the neck. So you look down. And sometimes people can feel the stretch all the way down into their spine. And straight up. Now, there has been some discussion about whether it's safe for your neck to really crane it up and back. It's not really a big bang for your buck one, so I don't usually recommend it. Okay. So now we get to the shoulders. Here we go. So the shoulders, they attach in the front and the back, and we actually stretch these muscles when we stretch a couple of the other muscles. So we'll come back to this one. Okay. So we'll move on to the chest. Now the shoulders and the chest are stretched with two of those muscle or stretches that we did. So when you put your hands behind your head and stretch those elbows back, oftentimes people can feel that stretch right through the chest. And if you take a nice big breath in, you can really stretch or feel that stretch more. Good. Okay. And the second one that also stretches the shoulders and the chest is by clasping your hands behind your back and trying to gently lift those hands off your back. Good. You can feel the stretch in the front of those shoulders, and you can feel the stretch through that chest. Perfect. Okay. So now, the lats. You heard me say that earlier. The lats is the slang term for the Latissimus Dorsi, which is, if you look at the picture, ooh, my circles are a little off in this one. It's actually the big muscle that goes across the base of your back and wraps up actually under your armpits. So here and up and around. Okay, so that one we get at by stretching up. Okay, and forward, rounding forward. You can feel that stretch kind of through your low back. Perfect. And moving on from here, we'll get the abdominal muscles and the intercostal muscles. So the intercostal literally means between the ribs. So that's the one where you stretch up and bend sideways. Now obviously if you have some back pain, back off. But taking a few deep breaths here can actually deepen that stretch. Good, and then we'll go to the other side. Okay. Moving on to the lower body, the hamstrings, which are the backs of the legs. Okay, so you can even do it sitting in the chair if you want. Stick one leg out, nice straight back, and bend forward at the hips. Sometimes it might not be quite as intense as if you're standing up. If you'd like to stand up, you're certainly welcome to. So this one is very commonly tight in almost everyone. We'll switch sides, put your other leg in front. You're going to bend at the hips, keep the back nice and straight. We're getting those hamstrings. Good. Next is the quadriceps. So if you're standing up, this will be easier. So either grab your foot or you can put your leg on the chair. I'll show you. Can you guys see this at all? Okay, so if you're putting your leg on the chair, then you want to put your other foot in front and kind of lunge forward on the chair. You'll feel that stretch through the front of your thigh. Okay? If you're standing, then you grab your foot with your hand and again push the knee behind you. Good. Great. And we'll switch sides. So put your other foot on the chair or grab your other foot. Good. Very nice. Moving on to the hip adductors. Now these are the muscles that are on the insides of the thighs. So I want you to step your feet apart really far. Good. And then you're going to keep one leg straight and you're going to lean the other way. Good. You should feel that stretch on the inside of the straight leg. And other side. Great, and while we're standing, we'll get the calves. The calves are the muscles on the back of your lower leg. So that's where you step 1 foot forward and 1 foot back, and you try to press that back heel down toward the ground. Okay? Make sure that back foot is straight forward, not turned out. If it's turned out, you'll need to adjust, and you'll probably feel a little bit more of a stretch there. And switch sides. Perfect. You can have a seat. So now, if you stretch each muscle and hold each stretch for a full 30 seconds, what we did here was actually about 15 seconds. That whole stretching session will take you 10 minutes to finish. But sometimes you don't have 10 minutes in your day. So it's okay to break those up. Maybe you do a little bit of those abdominals and intercostals stretching. Maybe 2 hours later, you get up and you stretch your calves. Perfect. Okay? You can break it up, and that makes it easier to fit it in. So I want each of you to close your eyes, please. Think of one stretch that felt really good for you tonight. It's one that your body's saying, yes, I'm so glad you came to this talk. Okay? Now, I want you to think of one time in your day when you can do this stretch. Be very specific. What time of day is it? Where are you? Who is with you? What did you just finish doing? What are you going to do next? Is this something you can make part of your routine? Great work. You can open your eyes. And remember, this is only the beginning. Flexibility is only one component of physical fitness, but it is often the most overlooked. Strength and endurance are often what people think of when they think of fitness and exercise, but flexibility is just as important. It is the key to maximizing the performance of your body, mind, and emotions. Also remember that physical wellness is only one dimension of those 6 dimensions of wellness. Optimal wellness and flexibility and productivity occur when all 6 dimensions are nurtured in our lives. But remember, this is a great place to start. And that is one of my favorite quotes. A journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. Okay? So we can start stretching our bodies so we have the capacity to stretch our minds. To stretch our minutes in our jobs, with our families, and for ourselves. Thank you very much. So we have about 15 minutes. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Or maybe I should phrase it differently. What questions do you have about the material we just covered? The question was, is there a time of day that is better to do the stretching exercise? And the answer is actually no. If you're someone, well, it depends. That's the famous answer in physical therapy school. If you're someone who tends to be more stiff and tight, they tend to stretch better after they've warmed up with something else. So whether it's a little bit later in the day, the afternoon or the evening, or if someone goes for a walk first. If someone is engaging in sport, say playing soccer, playing basketball, training for a marathon, the best time to stretch is actually after the sport. It's a good cool down. Some people if they're very busy and they do want to prioritize this, find it easier. That I do my stretching first thing in the morning. I do yoga with videos because I find that the blood flow really energizes me for the day, and I just feel better prepared for the day when I'm stretched out. Yes? I'm sorry, can you speak up? You know, I do not have a paper, but is there a website for Our Best For You? Okay. I believe there's a website for this event. I can speak with the organizers and see if they can put my slideshow up on the website. I know that's what they did for the Health 101, and so we'll try to get those slides up for you. Also, I have, let's see. If I can get to the end, I have my contact information. So if anyone would like pictures of the specific stretches we did today, can you read my email up there? So if you can't read it, it's Audra, my first name, .Zastrow, my last name, at CentraCare.com. And I also have business cards with me. So if you want to send me an email, I can send you a printout with those exact stretches that we did today. Excellent question. Thank you. So just to review, that's Audra.Zastrow at CentraCare.com. And we did just get confirmation that the slides will be posted on the website for this event. Did you have a question? Okay. All right, well, oh yes. The question was, is there a specific exercise for a man with lower back strain that creeps up every couple of years? Now, I guess I can't speak to the specific case, but I can share some general information. Number one, the best way to prevent a recurrent injury is actually to stay active. The number one issue that we see in America is that a lot of people are either weekend warriors, where they do nothing during the week, and then on the weekend they go gung-ho and try to do a landscaping project or play basketball. Or that people, if they're not weekend warriors, will do actually, maybe they won't do anything all winter, and then come spring and summer, they'll start to get active, and that's usually when something like a strain will happen. So staying active. Keep in mind that the body is actually a use it or lose it machine. So it will only stay as strong and as flexible as you use. So it's generally not the best principle to make the hardest thing you do in life a one-time event. So if you use your muscles, the body will say, oh, hey, I guess I need to get stronger and hold on to these. If you don't use those muscles, the body says, well, hey, I'm going to conserve energy. I don't need to keep those up. And then you run into other issues. Does that answer your question? You're welcome. Last call. All right, well, thank you everyone for coming this evening. We've really enjoyed having you at this event for CentraCare, and I've really appreciated your sticking around and engaging with me. I hope everyone feels a little bit better after the stretching you did today. It would be normal if you haven't stretched in a while to have a little bit of muscly type soreness. It shouldn't be a lot, but that's generally your body's response to doing something new, and that's actually what tells your body that it needs to change. So drink lots of water, and email me, or I put my business number on there as well. Feel free to call if you have any questions. I will be around after the presentation if anyone would like to speak with me specifically. Thank you again.
All right, we have come to the conclusion of our evening, or our day together. Thank you. I do want to thank everyone for coming and for those of you sticking around. We have a few final reminders. If you would please turn in your event survey for a chance to win some great door prizes. I don't know what they are, but I'm sure that they're fabulous. If you had your cholesterol checked, results can be picked up at the CentraCare Laboratory Services booth, and those results that are not picked up will be mailed. I just want to thank you again, and have a great rest of your evening.